Okay, hello and welcome, change makers. Welcome to today's webinar, Understanding AI for Charities. My name is Daisy Robinson, and I'm delighted to share this empowering journey with you. My role involves leveraging the power of AI to empower CITA and numerous other charities. At the Charity IT Association, or CITA for short, our mission is to help you effectively navigate the world of technology. And today we're focusing on one of the game changers of our time, artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI. So let me introduce the CITA team that we've got here today. And if they're on, if they could put their cameras on and just give us a wave. We should have Dom Aslan, who is our chair of the board. Hi, Dom. Welcome. Thank you. We should also have Harinder Grewal. Are you on the call, Harinder? Wonderful. Harinder's a trustee of ours. We were going to have Donna, but I think she's not with us today. Couldn't make it. But we do have Ian Henderson, I believe. Is Ian on the call? He is. Wonderful. Welcome, Ian. Thank you. And then we also have our charity manager, Stephanie Horton. So Stephanie, give us a wave. Thank you. And there are many more members of the team, but these are the guys that are joining us today on our webinar. They all carry a rich tapestry of experience, skills, and backgrounds, all dedicated to CITA's mission of driving technological empowerment in the charity sector. Now, the digital world is continuously evolving, and AI stands as one of its prime marvels. But don't worry if those two letters sound a bit intimidating or out of reach. Today, we're here to demystify AI for you and explain why it is something that you might want to consider to move your charity forward and enhance the impact that you are making. I'm going to share my screen with you again. Here we go. So, what is AI? In simple terms, it's technology that allows computers to mimic human intelligence, but it can come in various forms and capacities. So let's just break them down first before we get into the presentation. First, we've got narrow AI. Now, this is the most commonly used form of AI right now. It's designed to perform specific tasks such as recognizing speech, suggesting songs on Spotify, or helping Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant respond to your queries. Then there's general AI. Now, this is a more advanced form of AI, but it doesn't truly exist yet. The idea here is that we're creating machines that can perform any intellectual task that a human can do. Then we've got super intelligent AI. Now, this form surpasses human intelligence across all sectors, from creativity to general wisdom. But again, this is currently the realm of science fiction. Then we have generative AI. Now, generative AI takes inputs such as text, image, audio, video, and code, and can generate new content into any of the modalities mentioned. For example, it can turn text inputs into an image, and it can turn an image into a song, or it can turn video into text. So now that we've scratched the surface of what AI is and its various forms, let's move on to the important part. How can AI help you and your charity? The potential is really immense, from streamlining your day-to-day operations to personalized fundraising efforts. AI can revolutionize the way that you work. It can save you time, boost your efficiency, and help you connect with your audience in new and more effective ways. And the great thing, you don't have to be a tech expert to leverage the benefits that AI can provide. In this webinar, we're going to guide you through the practical implementation of AI in your charity. So we'll explore real-life examples and provide you with actionable strategies. So stay tuned till the end. So let's embark on this transformational journey together. Buckle up and get ready to harness the power of AI with CITA. Remember, this is not about getting techie. It's about empowering your charity to achieve more. And we're right here to provide you with the support and guidance that you need. So before we move further, let's ensure that everyone's on the same page. So if there are any questions so far, do let me know in the chat. Your questions are what makes our session interactive and valuable. Let's stop sharing the chat in the chat. We've got lots of new people joining us. No questions yet. That is absolutely fine. If you've got a question at any point, pop it in the chat, raise your hand, or wait to the end when we're going to have our interactive Q&A session. So that's your introduction to AI. Remember, this is just the beginning. AI, like all tech, is a journey. So the best thing about embarking on this journey is that you are not alone. CITA is here to assist you in every step of the way. I'm going to share my screen for you again now. Okay. So I hope you're ready to dive into our second section of this webinar, which is around understanding artificial intelligence, or AI, for charities. Now, our focus in this section will be how artificial intelligence, or AI, has the potential to fundamentally transform your charity. Don't worry if you're starting from scratch. Remember, we're here together on this journey. So first, I want to look at the key function for any charity: fundraising. AI can enhance this aspect in a number of ways. First, we've got segmentation and personalization. Now, AI can analyze data to segment donors based on their giving behavior. This allows for a really personalized outreach, making your donors feel seen and feel valued. Also, with the fundraising, we've got predictive analysis. Now, AI can predict future giving trends based on past data. This lets you plan your fundraising strategies more proactively and more effectively. Then we've got chatbots. You've probably heard of these, but have you ever imagined providing instantaneous responses to your donors' queries round the clock? Well, AI-powered chatbots can help you do just that. Really super helpful. After fundraising, we look at streamlining operations with AI. So you can really streamline your operations significantly, firstly by automating tasks. So mundane tasks such as setting appointments or data entry or sending regular updates, all of those things can be automated with AI. Then there's improved decision making. So by visualizing your data and predicting trends, AI can facilitate better decision making at a strategic level. And then there's enhancing internal communication. AI can automate and enhance communication within a team, improving collaboration and productivity. Then we move on to outreach and AI. Now, AI can also aid in boosting the outreach of your charity. It'll do that first through tailored communication. Now, AI can help you understand the preferences of your audience so that you can tailor your messages accordingly. You can also optimize your social media. So AI tools can suggest the optimal time to post and the right hashtags to use, and even predict the reach of your posts. And then we're back on chatbots again. Chatbots not only support donor interactions, they can also aid first-tier support and answer basic queries from those that you support. So many things that it can help you to do. Remember, the applications of AI in your charity work, they can be vast and really powerful. And regardless of your starting point, AI holds immense potential for everyone. We at CITA are committed to offering clear, actionable advice to empower your charity. So if any questions have surfaced so far during the session, don't hesitate to share them now or in our QA at the end. I'm going to stop sharing to take another look in the chat box. Wonderful. And we do have a question. So thank you, Katie, for your question. Does data entry and segmenting data on individuals' giving history not break data protection rules and mean you're sharing your data with another business? Does this get tricky with your privacy policy? Is there a template privacy policy that includes references use of AI? So is there anyone on the trustee board who would like to help with a bit of information to help us answer that question? What have we got?
Hey Daisy, this is Dominic.
Hi, Dom. What's your
Hiya.
feedback for Katie?
Yeah, I'd say it doesn't break data protection rules on its own, but what you would do is have to include in your privacy policy a sub-processor who would be the one processing that data. Wherever you store that data, you'd store that in your sub-processors. You'd then also have to make sure that who you use is a sort of a valid and a safe company. That's down to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Katie, does that make sense for you? Feel free to unmute if you want to say anything, Katie.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. If there are recommendations on who to use or who not to use, that would also be useful. Thank you.
Anything to come back with there, Dom, on who to use and who not to use?
I think we can probably sort of come up with some names at the end and maybe share them afterwards.
Okay, great.
I
I
can't
shall
think off the
make a
top of my
note.
head who's the right people, but I'm sure we can come up with some ideas.
Fabulous. Thank you for that question, Katie, and thank you, Dom, for that fantastic answer as well. Keep those questions coming. Okay, back to sharing my screen with you again. Okay. Let's continue on this journey as we advance towards the third section of our webinar, examples of artificial intelligence in charities. Exploring the potential of AI is exciting, but understanding how it works in action provides a clearer perspective on its practical applications. Now, our first example takes us to a charity that used AI to establish personalized connections with its stakeholders. They leveraged the power of AI to analyze stakeholder behaviors and preferences, using this data to customize their communication materials. Now, the outcome: happier, more engaged stakeholders and highly successful campaigns. It's the perfect example that the right message delivered at the right time can make a significant difference. Example 2 is streamlining operations. So here we're looking at operational efficiency. Now, one of our charities tapped into AI to automate time-consuming administrative tasks, such as appointment scheduling and data entry. This move freed up the staff's time and allowed them to focus on more strategic, impactful work. It appears that adopting AI not only makes the team happier, but significantly improves productivity and efficiency. It truly shows how AI can carry out the heavy lifting. The third example introduces us to a charity that used AI to maximize their social media outreach. By implementing AI-based prediction tools for optimal post timings and effective hashtags, they saw a substantial increase in their audience reach. It's a quintessential demonstration of AI's prowess in expanding your audience and influence. Now, these examples we've just explored demonstrate that AI isn't a futuristic concept. Instead, charities like yours are already harnessing it to enhance productivity and magnify their impact. Remember, the transformation doesn't have to be drastic. Even tiny steps towards integrating AI into your operations can lead to really significant benefits over time. If you have any questions, thoughts, or ideas spurred on by these examples, please put them in the chat box or look forward to our Q&A section at the end. After all, we grow by learning from each other, so let's continue to do so. I'm just going to see if we've had any more comments in the chat box. Oh, a few more people joined. And for those of you that did miss the beginning, don't worry, I'm going to send out a link to the video recording at the end. So if you missed the beginning, don't worry, you can catch up. Okay. Next slide. Right. As we journey towards the culmination of this webinar, Charities Understanding AI, we now step into the realm of tangible actions. Now, in this empowering fourth section, we focus on practical steps to implement AI in your charity. So we're sharing valuable resources, tips, and tricks so that you can navigate your AI journey with confidence. Implementing AI in your charity might feel like a vast, nebulous task, but breaking it down into smaller, manageable steps can make it more approachable. To get started, consider some of these really foundational elements. Firstly, you want to identify AI opportunities. So what areas within your charity do you feel could be enhanced by AI? It could be donor engagement, it could be social media engagement, or other operational efficiencies. I would say don't aim too high, start small to build your confidence and your understanding. Second, I would say consult your team. Encourage open discussions amongst your staff and volunteers to explore the benefits and the challenges of adopting AI. And thirdly, I would learn and educate. So create an ongoing learning process for you and your team, facilitated by accessible educational resources and training opportunities. Now we move on to the resources, tips, and tricks that you can use to chart your AI voyage. So let's look at some trusted resources where you can kickstart your AI journey and offer some practical guidance. The first of those is with CITA support. Now, our team of dedicated volunteers can help you navigate AI adoption. They provide expert, independent advice tailored to your charity's specific needs. Register your charity through the CITA website and then request the support that you need. It's as simple as that. The second thing you can do is go to AI resource hubs. Online platforms like AI for Good and Google's AI for Social Good, they provide case studies, resources, and developmental tools. There's also ai4c.org.uk, helping charities embarking on artificial intelligence with thought leadership and practical advice in a sale-free, technology-agnostic, and vendor-neutral environment. So that's ai4c.org.uk. Do check them out. And thirdly, you could try exploring free and low-cost AI tools. So you want to familiarize yourself with the wide range of AI tools available, such as chatbot builders like TARS, or social media scheduling tools that utilize AI like Buffer or Hootsuite, or even generative AI tools such as DAL-E3. That's certainly one to go and have a play on when you get a chance. If you have any questions regarding these steps, these resources or tools, now's a great time to raise them. So pop them in the chat or raise your hand. I'll just have another look to see if we've got any questions. Nothing in so far. Feel free to put something in the chat if you do have anything. In the next section of our webinar, we'll be looking at the ethical considerations of using AI in your charity. So at CITA, we're here to assist, to guide, to support you in your technological journey. AI is more than a tool. It's an opportunity to enhance, to empower, and to elevate your charity to heights that you've never before envisioned. In this next section, we're going to go through ethics and AI. You've journeyed with us through understanding artificial intelligence, exploring real-world applications, and garnering practical insights to get started with AI in your charity. We now approach an important discussion point in our webinar, the intersection of ethics and AI. It's a really essential conversation as we strive not only to understand and use AI, but also to do so responsibly and ethically. Now, ethics in AI is about ensuring this powerful tool is wielded for good, whilst respecting privacy, avoiding harm, and promoting fairness. Let's delve into these primary ethical considerations. Firstly, privacy and data protection. Now, AI relies on data, and therefore proper data management is fundamental. As charities, we must respect the privacy of our donors, our staff, and those we serve, and fully comply with the data protection laws, just like Katie asked earlier in the webinar, and we spoke about with Dom. Then there's transparency and accountability. There needs to be clarity about how we use AI and who is responsible if something goes wrong. It's about being transparent and owning up to any mistakes. And lastly, fairness. We must prevent discriminatory outcomes and ensure that our AI operations promote fairness and equality. Really important. So it's vital to practically implement these ethical guidelines into our operations. So what are the practical steps to doing that? Well, firstly, you need to educate your team. Ethical AI usage starts with awareness. Educate your team about ethical considerations into AI. Number 2, prioritize data protection. It's really important to implement really strict data protection policies and compliance processes. And number 3, it's important to have transparent communication. So make sure your stakeholders understand how you'll be using AI and the benefits it brings. I'm going to stop there for another check on the chat to see if we've had any questions on ethics and AI. Remember, this is an open space for discussion, so feel free to share your perspectives, your concerns, or your inquiries. Okay, we must be doing a great job of giving you all this information. We haven't got any more questions at the moment in the chat, which is absolutely fine. Now, we're reaching at the end of this section on ethics and AI. So we hope you walk away from that bit with a really robust knowledge of the ethical considerations when implementing AI in the charity sector. Remember, it's not about harnessing the power of AI, or not just about that. It's also about using it responsibly, ethically, and in a way that reinforces the trust and faith that our stakeholders have in us as charities. All right, change makers, as we enter the final stage of our journey today, we want to thank you for your active participation and eagerness for learning. Now we've reached a particularly engaging, I hope, part of our webinar, the Q&A session. This is a time for you to raise your queries, share your thoughts, and seek those clarifying answers that will put the world of AI within your grasp. Demystifying AI and embracing it as an effective tool for your cause requires understanding, and we're here to ensure you get just that. So I'm going to stop sharing. Feel free to raise any hands in the group or turn on your videos if you want to have a chat with one of our trustees about AI and how you might use AI within your charity or organisation. Whilst we're waiting to see if there's any questions that come up, do any of our trustees want to talk a little bit about how they use AI? I'm happy to make a start. Oh, Dom might be coming on. I'll make a start. Okay, so I'm working with maybe 4 or 5 charities at the moment where we're using AI for a number of different things. The main thing that I use it for is to create copy. It saves me masses of time when I'm doing blog posts or I'm doing social media posts. And the platform that I use is called copy.ai. There are lots of free versions out there. I pay for a slightly upgraded version, which gives me unlimited access. Otherwise, you're restricted by a word count. But what this platform does for me is I'm able to talk to it like a human. So I'll input data such as write me a social media post telling everyone about this amazing AI awareness course that we've got coming up. That's all I have to say. And the AI machine will take a few seconds and generate content for me, answering my question, giving me a post that I can put out. I can then go many more steps further. And I frequently will then say to the AI machine, firstly, I want a little bit less fluff. Sometimes what it spits back out at me is a little bit fluffy, a little too wordy. I want to get to the point. So I'll just literally type less fluff, nothing more than less fluff, talking to it like a human, and it will regenerate that content for me in a more strategic way, with essentially less of the fluff, less of the extra words. What I'll then do is I'll then look at what it's generated for me and I'll tweak it. So AI doesn't do everything for you. What it requires is human input first, which is you telling it what you're looking for. It will then generate some content for you. And then you want to tweak that content so that it suits what you're saying and makes sense and has the right tone. With many of the platforms, certainly with Copy AI that I use, I'm allowed to, or enables me to give it a tone. So I have tones for each of the different organizations that I work with, and they're all slightly different. To create that tone, I just take around 500 words of copy that the organization use normally, their branding document guidelines. I put that through the AI generator, and that then learns the tone and the language that I like to use when I'm working with that particular charity. So when I'm asking it to generate content for me, I can ask it to do so using a specific tone. So that's just a little bit about how I'm using it on a daily basis. I've just seen a couple of questions maybe. Great, wonderful. Yvonne, ethical considerations. How to use responsibly if it goes wrong. Please, can you give examples? How can I risk assess it if I don't understand it? Is there anyone in the trustees that thinks they can help Yvonne out with an answer for that? That's how to use AI responsibly if it goes wrong.
Yeah, hi, Daisy, Dominic again.
Hi, Dom.
So I think to me, the key thing is to be open and honest and don't try and kind of pretend that you're not using AI. You know, that's kind of the part of the ethical thing to me is, people will accept if AI goes a bit weird, if they know you're doing it and they understand why. I think the other thing is to be really careful about what data you're training it on. So if you're training it on data that you shouldn't be training it on, you're going to get probably some iffy results. So those are probably the two key kind of ethical considerations I would start with. This is a huge topic, and there is no simple answer at the moment. There are lots of people trying to work out exactly what are the ethical considerations. You could check out, if you're interested, the EU has just agreed a new AI law. They haven't ratified it, but they've agreed kind of at the political level that this is how you should consider and manage AI ethics. And that was just say agreed about a week ago. So if you Google the EU AI regulations, that will give you quite a bit of information. There's some quite good sort of infographics on what you should and shouldn't be doing with AI.
Thank you, Dom. Hopefully that answered your question, Yvonne, but do feel free to comment back in the box if you'd like anything further or expand upon that at all. Our next question is Katie. The examples you referenced of other charities using AI, how big are these charities? How many staff? I've used it to help with copy, but everything else feels a bit overwhelming when I'm in a 2-staff organization. Katie, I completely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. Sometimes it feels like an absolutely massive hurdle. The charities that I referenced in the examples, everything from a 1-staff organization all the way up to, I think, the ones in the examples up to a 20-staff organization. And you're right, the smaller the team, the massively more overwhelming it can be. Now, one of the things you can do, obviously, is get a CITA volunteer in to help you with that, take some of the pressure off, help support you with that. But I would also say it's about taking small steps. So you might have a list, I certainly do, a list as long as my arm of the things that I want to be able to do with AI. And what I'm doing is prioritizing that based on my learning as I'm learning and developing my skills in AI and learning how to use it. I'd also say there's a number of different platforms out there offering AI in lots of different ways. So they obviously is trying to reduce the time that you spend on things so that you have more time on your strategy and on your beneficiaries. So the platform that I'm on, the copy.ai that I use, they've started introducing workflows. And I've only just started playing with this, but it's a workflow for AI. So where you would previously perhaps have had a workflow for emails going out to clients if you're working through a process, you can now do this with AI as well. So I could, for example, if I'm doing grant writing, this is another way that I will use AI in fundraising, is looking at grant writing. And I can ask the AI to scope a charity's website and then provide me with the keywords that that grant funder are looking for. Then I can ask AI to use those keywords to create the application question answers. So I might look at a particular question on a grant application, and I would ask the AI generator to provide me some content that I can then go on and tweak into the grant application form. So that's just another example of how you can start to use it, but without having to go head over heels and dive right in. I hope that helped a bit there, Katie. Any other questions? Whilst we're waiting to see if there's any other questions, Dom, you have obviously got a lot of experience using AI. Is there any more kind of key nuggets, little gems or tools and resources that you might be able to give to our listeners today?
Yeah, I was going to give a quick example of how I've used AI for one of my own businesses, which is a small company for 5 or 6 people, and we use it to read invoices and bills, and then the AI will sort of look for, okay, what this is the date, this is the price, this is the subject, the content, and it will then kind of convert that into a standard, and put that into our accounting package. So that's a kind of a different use of AI to the generative AI, which is more what we were talking about with your examples.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also it's relatively straightforward. Certainly if you've got a reasonable tech understanding, you can work out how to do that. And I worked it out just by following a Microsoft course. It was a sort of 2 or 3 hour course where they kind of lead you through it, and they let you practice it on a website where you get sort of pretend invoices and pretend systems, and you get to try it out. So you don't mess up with your own systems. So that's something else people can try. I can't remember the link for that website, but I can look it up and share it afterwards if anyone's interested.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Dom. I'm definitely interested in that. Was that a free course that Microsoft were offering?
Absolutely. Microsoft obviously are investing heavily in this, and they are offering lots of training on this stuff to help people understand what they could do. The more they understand it, the more they might start using Microsoft services, the more Microsoft wins from this as well, right? So it's a win-win for them. They offer a lot of free advice.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any more questions in the group?
Hi, Daisy. I've got a question. That's okay.
Yes. Hello, Armadeep. Hello. Welcome. What's your question?
Hello. Thank you very much. So I look after fundraising and comms for a small charity called Disability Sports Coach. We use the power of sport to enhance the lives of disabled people across London. Small team of 6.5 people. And my question is very much kind of introductory, where I'm looking at AI, of how it can enhance or just make life a little bit easier for us, but also our service users. But obviously, we support a lot of people with learning disabilities, and where I wondered if there's any research or guidance about the use of AI and things like potentially introducing chatbots on our websites, and the appropriateness of using that for someone with a learning disability. So any guidance? I know it's quite niche, but any guidance? Again, going back to kind of what you mentioned about ethics and biases in AI as well. Any guidance would be much appreciated.
That's a super interesting question. I'm so glad you've asked it. Dom, what are your first thoughts on that?
Yeah, I honestly, sadly, I don't know. That's not an area I've looked at for it. I mean, I say again, around the biases and things like that, it's all about the data that you train it on. There are plenty of services. I don't know what tools you use, but things like HubSpot, Salesforce, so that's ridiculously expensive, do have AI chatbots available to their clients that you could look into. How that works with learning disabilities, I'm not sure. I mean, I personally struggle sometimes with AI chatbots when they don't really answer my question and I get stuck in a bit of a loop. Yeah, I'm not sure is the honest answer.
Amardeep, have you got any concerns? Has anything kind of come up already for you, or you're concerned about any specific areas for your clients? Perhaps you could expand a little and we can see what answers we can come up with.
Yeah, appreciate that. And I know that there's probably not one answer because it's such a new area and quite tailored. I'm thinking from a functionality point of view on our website, I don't think we've got a search function as such. So if we had something that popped up, and this is a very early idea, but a chat bot where someone could search, I'm looking for a club or an activity in my local area, how effective would the response be from the chatbot? And I know that's down to us to train. But if someone with a learning disability or a complex learning impairment, they may input their basic data or very limited data into that chatbot. Is there still a way of training it so it gives that individual the information that they want, or would it just not would they get the kind of feedback saying, sorry, please can you type the question again, which obviously isn't a great experience for them. So yeah, it's just one idea that we're thinking to try and make our website a bit more helpful for people, because we're very limited in terms of staff and resource. It's only guidance again we were just looking around for.
So
You go, Dom. Go, Dom.
well, I was going to say it all really, again, depends on the training. So the more people ask it questions in the way that you're expecting your users to ask, the better it will learn and the better it will answer. So you're kind of stuck in a little catch-22 here, because if you only train it on people that have, on a certain sort of type of person that doesn't have the learning disabilities, then it's going to answer how those people would want. The more you can ask it questions in the way that your users will ask, the better those answers will get. So I think the thing I'd be trying to work on is how can you train it to understand your kind of neurodiverse users, right? And how could you train it to see when they say this, they mean this, or when they emphasize certain elements, how does it respond to that? I personally don't know the answer here, but I do know some guys at Google who basically they run a what they call the Accessibility Demonstration Center, which is for people that have various disabilities and how do they use tech in general. I can certainly sort of ping your question over to them and see if they can give me a better answer or a tip that I can share with you.
That'd be amazing. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Dom. Really appreciate that feedback. Hopefully that's the first step in trying to understand, Amardeep, what the challenges are going to be for your beneficiaries. But absolutely,
yeah.
But do reach out to CITA, and we will start to have a look at that, because it's a really interesting point that you raised. So thank you. Okay, in the chat box, we've got a question from Yvonne, or a comment. We'll have a read. It says, the future potential general super generative, how will we be able to monitor this growth to ensure its applications are positive for charities, not negative? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be suspicious, but AI does get a negative press sometimes. Also, relationship building is a cornerstone of what we do. Will adoption of AI affect relationship building? Okay, so shall we start with just the first bit of that, which was about monitoring the growth to ensure that applications are positive for charities and not negative. Any trustees have anything that they want to input for that first bit? I'm just trying to consider what the potential negatives might be. Yvonne, have you got any potential negatives in mind? Do feel free to unmute.
Hello, everyone. No, I don't, I'm afraid. I'm a complete beginner at this. So I can't help but, as a risk assessor, kind of looking at the potential, the downsides of it, and I completely see the potential, obviously. It's just, I don't know, there's just a fear of it running away and losing control. I don't know. It's me being a control freak, perhaps. But I do appreciate all of your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question, Yvonne. And not at all. I completely understand why it can be really daunting and overwhelming. Certainly, as you mentioned, the media, the stories that you hear in the media, don't put AI always in the best light. Dom, have you got anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is going to be a challenge. AI thinks and moves so much quicker than we do now in certain ways. I'm aware of a number of people and companies that are building technology to monitor technology now. So there are guys building AI that monitors AI. As I mentioned, the EU are trying to think what are the guide rails that we should be operating in. I suppose we need to think about AI is not replacing us, at least not yet, right? It's an aid. So we shouldn't allow it, in my mind, to just go off and do whatever it wants to do and to have these potential negative impacts that you're concerned about. I would use it as an aid to you, and ensure that a human is kind of sanity checking it, at least for the next couple of years, probably until it's evolved. Remember, AI is really still the AI that we're used to and we're talking about today is still quite new. While there's been AI and talk about it for years and years, it was only more or less this time last year that ChatGPT came out, and that really sort of started this massive AI explosion, right? The sort of massive advances that we've had in the last year. So it's still only 1 year old. It's still got a very long way to go.
Certainly. Thank you so much for that, Dom. Yvonne, I was also going to mention about the relationship building. From my perspective, I've seen it as a really positive thing, and it's helped me on relationship building because I can generate the content to reply to someone much quicker than I would if I was sitting down to think about it. So if a potential sponsor emails my charity and says they want to give us some money, or they want to do an activity with us or whatever it is, I can just take their email. In my head, I know what I want to say, which is I want to tell them, thank you so much for the money, and we're going to do amazing things with it, and we really appreciate it. And that's how I will input it into the AI. So I'll just say, this is what kind of I want to reply saying, and then it will ping me out the kind of ready-made email with the content that I've said I want, but put in a way that would probably take me 10-15 minutes to write that email in proper prose and get it sent off. Whereas if I can get it done in 60 seconds and then I'm on to the next email, that's one way it's helping me to build relationships. I hope that answers your question, Yvonne. Do feel free to come back with more feedback in the chat. I can see Steve's made a comment, really helpful there. One negative is repetition. You're so right, Steve. Making sure that messaging is still tailored and not just use the easy option of accepting the AI output in its first draft. Absolutely, Steve. I would never just take the AI output and go with it. It always needs sense checking by a human before you use it. And you're right about the repetition. And because AI was at a fixed point in time, and Dom's probably better with the language here, but it happened at a fixed point in time, and so the last few years are not included in the AI generators. I'm not very good at explaining this, Dom. Are you better at explaining what I'm trying to say?
I think you're talking about the training data again. It can only train on data that it's got. And you're talking about ChatGPT and those kind of guys. They've got data up until a certain point. So as more data is added, as the AI is trained, its answers will evolve. It's an interesting one. I haven't really tried asking it the same question, at different times of the day or from different computers to see if I get different results. That's something I'm going to go off and check myself.
That's super interesting. Thanks for that, Steve. And then we're on to, excuse me if I get this pronunciation wrong, Pankaja, I think. It asks, what about copyright? How can we avoid copyright in AI? For example, for a social media post, some words used by some other person and some words will be used by me. So it's AI will give a different answer to both of us. Who owns the copyright of AI generated images and words? Dom, who does own the copyright for AI generated images and words?
Again, I'm afraid I don't know. I think that's a debate that's being had a lot at the moment. Who is responsible for AI? Take the Tesla self-driving cars as a slightly different example. If it crashes, whose fault is that? Is that Tesla's fault because they developed it? Is it your fault as the person sitting in the car? Is it, those questions, those kind of really, really complicated questions aren't clear to anybody yet, and I don't think they will be until, sadly, they're probably tested in court. But to the point about how do you avoid kind of copyright theft like that, a lot of companies are very cautious about allowing their staff to use AI, and again about what data they allow the AI to mine. And it's actually, so in my work is mostly cybersecurity, and we're very nervous that the Microsoft Copilot, for example, the Microsoft's AI, has access to all of your Word files, your Excel files, and your emails. And so if you start asking it questions within your own organization, it may well leak sensitive information that you don't really want to tell other people. So the way to avoid it is not to allow that information to be trained on, sorry. So it goes back to kind of very basic security of your data. Make sure if you don't want something to be used within the AI or to know about it, you've got to look it away.
Does that hopefully that makes sense and answers your question, Pankaja. Do feel free to pop something in the chat if you've got anything that's come out of that. You've got a thumbs up. Thank you. Wonderful. Are there any more questions in the group? Feel free to unmute if there's anything you would like to say or to ask. Okay. Oh, we've got a question. Amardeep asks, is Copilot free for charities? I'm not sure. Does anyone on the trustees know the answer? Is Copilot free for charities?
It's part of the Office suite, I think, at the moment, although it's still in sort of proof of concept. I don't think it's a paid product for anybody at the moment. Well, I might be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. But if you've got a Microsoft donation license or the non-profit licenses, you will have some access to Copilot. I know just my own PC has popped up with a Copilot trial, and this is my home PC, so that's free. So I'm sure there are some elements that are free to charities, yes.
Awesome. And it's a great question, Amardeep. And to everyone on the call, I would always say, always look and do a little bit of research, do a Google before you're paying for any software, whether it's around AI or other areas, because frequently there will be discounts for charities. Sometimes you've got to dig a little to find them or even contact the organization. But I certainly would be looking for discounts and deals if you're looking to purchase something for your charity. Okay. Okay. Just showing my screen with you again now. Now, we've obviously done our best to succinctly and clearly answer your questions. Remember, our aim is not to overwhelm you with jargon, but to equip you with practical, usable knowledge and understanding. But as we conclude our Q&A session, we hope that we've been able to clarify your queries, ease your concerns, and boost your enthusiasm for harnessing the power of AI. Remember, there is no finality to learning. If you think of questions post-webinar or as you continue your AI journey, please reach out to us. A knowledgeable and supportive CITA volunteer is always ready to guide and advise you. As we reach the conclusion of our webinar, let's go over the simple step-by-step process if you decide you want to embark on a journey with CITA and access some support for your charity's technological growth. Now, the first thing you need to do to unlock the full potential of technology for your charity is to register your organisation. Now, you can simply register your charity with us on our website, and then you can choose from any of our 3 services. We've got review, advisory, and delivery. Then you want to create and submit a project brief. So you want to provide a concise outline of your project's desired support. The CITA team will promptly review it and potentially request additional information just for clarity. Then number 3 is the fun bit. You get to review your volunteer applicants. So you'll receive notifications when volunteers apply to support your project. While we can't guarantee timelines, our goal is to present you with a list of potential matches within a week. Then for number 4, we'll connect you with your volunteer. So we schedule an initial meeting to get acquainted, discuss your needs in detail, and establish clear expectations for your collaboration. And lastly, it's about working together. So once you're satisfied with your chosen volunteer, progress to crafting a project agreement and embark on your joint journey towards impactful technology adoption. Now, as a small charity, CITA relies on donations and grants to provide the vital support and advice to charities across every area of society. We kindly request a minimal one-time contribution to help cover our admin costs if you do decide to get one of our volunteers to work with you. Now, for charities with an annual income under 50,000, we request a voluntary contribution of just £75 for a review, £100 for an advisory, or £125 to deliver a project. And for charities with an income above 50,000, fees are £150, still really small, for a review, £200 for an advisory, and £250 for delivery services. Now, before we wrap up today's webinar, there are a couple of exciting things we want to share with you. First, we know that embarking on the AI journey can seem overwhelming, but don't worry. To ease your transition, we have prepared an AI checklist that will guide you through the initial steps of incorporating AI into your charity work. It's designed to make the process less daunting and much more manageable. Second, in recognition of your participation today, we'll be sending you a certificate. We hope that it will serve as a reminder of the time that you've invested here today engaging in this session. Lastly, your feedback is paramount to us. It helps us to understand how effective these trainings are and where we need to work on to improve. So we're going to send you a feedback form and kindly request that you just take a few minutes to let us know your thoughts on today's session. Your feedback will directly influence the future webinars that we host. Your active participation today, along with the completion of the feedback form, contributes significantly to this growing community of learning, and we truly appreciate your time today and look forward to aiding your transition into incorporating AI within your charity work. Remember that every small step towards progress counts. And that concludes our inspiring webinar on understanding AI for charities. I hope you feel more empowered and enlightened, ready to explore the awe-inspiring possibilities that AI holds. Remember, it's not just about the tools and the technology. The power to make a difference comes from within. When combined with your compassion, AI becomes a catalyst for change, propelling your charity to achieve feats you never imagined possible. At CITA, we'll continue to be your beacon of hope in the ever-evolving tech landscape, with our compassionate guidance, informative resources, and unwavering support. We journey towards a brighter, more technologically empowered future, hand in hand, heart to heart. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a lovely weekend.